low. There we go. Okay. I am gonna load my Twitch. Cool. Looking good, looking good. And just a reminder. Yeah, it's coming in good. It's looking good, looking good. Alright. But, yeah, cool. Okay. Gonna check sound. Checking sound. Check, 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 check. Checking sound. Check, 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 check. Checking sound. There's Twitch. Checking Twitch sound. Then we come across the board. We see good. Then we come here and we see good. And then we see good. Good, good, good. Good. It's the board. Volume check. Good. Then we come here and we see good. A little bit more of an angle. And I believe that should be good. And then we come here and we through it here. And then, yeah. Okay. I gotta get out of here, which means like a helmet that is. Ooh, that is fuck loud. Yeah. Maybe it's something about this, I think. It's the mixer. Game mode, game mode, game mode. Yep, and game mode. Because you're like changing all of it, and I don't want you to do that. Yep, I want you to do only that. There, so no change, right? Yeah, now it's not like super blasty, right? Wait, it sounds a lot quieter now, but yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Because I think I had to turn it way a lot more before. So let's bump the master. Yep, perfect. Nice. Yeah, well, let's see if I can get the shore in any of that. Sound off. Ah, look, it's so much better. I don't know if I'm going the right way. Yeah, I think I'm going the right way. I think. Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Well, it's good I'm on the right side of things. I just don't know which way their base is. Fun though. Oh, that's green. I went the wrong way. Damn it. Um. Oops. I will have to find fuel. Yeah, see, that's interesting. So, yeah, and then I think I want to drop this by like 10. Yeah, right about there. And hopefully we don't get any more shrill stuff anymore. And it's obvious that my mic is very high. There. So when I'm super loud, yeah, it doesn't bust anybody's, you know, eardrums. Yeah. And there we go. So, oh, and did I do turbo? Let's go out. Oops, gotta go that way. Oh god, what if it's shallow? I don't know, I think I'm alright. Yeah, 6 people. That's good. That's good. Driving this thing at night sucks. I'm just gonna stop before I wedge. Yeah, and piss myself off. I'm just gonna kill this thing for now and go get like a fishing pole and just sort this out. I don't really intend to play Rust very long, but I think I'm probably going to today. Or sorry, I'm gonna play Baldur's Gate 3 today, but I do want to get this to my trio base, so I'm gonna do so. Yeah, need a. Sorry, I was thinking about what I have to do today. I get a little bit distracted. Little bit distracted. So... Yes, and I need my fishing pole. And anything that is bait 3, like that, or bait 5, yeah. And so, yeah, so bust you and put you in there, yeah. And we'll go out there and we'll do some fishing. We'll do some ice fishing. And we'll listen to something that's going on in the world while I wait for the sun to rise. Hey, what's up, my YouTube community? Fuck yes. Fuck yes. Overwatch 2 Steam Review Bomb Community Outcry. Okay.
Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. So in this video what we're going to do is cover the launch of Overwatch 2 on Steam and the reaction the game is receiving, and also there's a bunch of updates that come in the way of I believe this was like a journalistic roundtable that was held by Blizzard, in which a bunch of journalists from different websites could ask them questions, and some of these websites obviously turn the answers into various articles which we're going to cover in this video. So with that being said, let's jump over and take a look at this. So this is Overwatch 2 right now on Steam. In fact, I'll refresh this. So we've got bang update figures. So we're actually looking at 73,000 players are playing the game right now, with an all-time peak of 75,000 players at the moment. And you can see this is trending up, which is a good sign. Now, I want to go over and show you this. So this is the basically the list of the games that are being played the most at the moment. Again, I'll refresh this just so we get up-to-date figures. And yeah, so what we've got is obviously Counter-Strike's always at the top of this list with no problem concurrent players. Baldur's Gate is doing really well still. This, by the way, is fantastic. If you like RPG games, check this out. This is probably going to be Game of the Year. It is incredible. You can literally do anything in the game. It's so good. And then, yeah, then we start seeing what you may be able to, I guess, classify as
here we go. Sorry, got a phone call.
This is Apex Legends.
Just in a few minutes, guys, maybe 10, 15 minutes. I got to go run to help move some shelves in the house, but it should only take like 5-10 minutes, and I'll pause the stream. But I won't be gone long. And then I got to go do it again when the clothes get here. So I'll have like 2 5 or 10 minute interruptions today. I just want to be heads up, heads up up front about it. Gonna have some distractions today. Gonna load my chatty app so I don't miss chat here. Very good. Hey, it's loaded. So, but we must go make sure that the chatty app notification is correct. Settings, notifications, always enable for the chat message and the ding. We're gonna go to the ding and we're gonna test it. cancel. Very good. We say save. And we take this over here. Very good. And we are back in swing. Alright. It's 3 a.m., so the sun's going to rise soon any minute here, and I'm going to continue piloting this boat back to my trail base. I'm going to stuff their fridge and give them some metal and stuff, and, you know, all this, any like, guns and valuable stuff that I have. Because this boat has been sunk, like, 11 times, and the admin just keeps replacing it, because whatever piece of shit keeps doing it is getting thwarted across the board, whatever they try to do. And it might be the streamer, it might not be. It might be other people, I don't know. But the admin's inclined to let the boat live, because they're like, how did you find it? How did you find it? And I think so. So the boat is an interesting thing. The boat's like bait. The admin uses it like bait, and they restore it at the end of the day every day. Because they know that somebody used some ESP or hack to come find the boat. It's kind of crazy. Like, the boat was destroyed every day for like a week. And then restored every day for like a week. It's really weird. Like, it means that there's this, like, silent hacker war going in the background. And he's using the boat as bait, and they keep falling for it. I can't seem to get this damn... small trout.
Concurrent players. Now, there is a caveat here. Overwatch is available on Battle.net, and it's been on Battle.net for a very long time. I don't think the game simply going onto Steam will make people who play on Battle.net go, you know what? I'm going to go over and play on Steam. Some people will, but I think people will probably just stick to the platform that they're on. This is where I think the figures get kind of interesting. So as we scroll down, we'll see Overwatch here. Call of Duty's got a little bit more players at the moment, but whatever. Overwatch, let's say it's sitting at 70,000 at the moment, right? The 13th most played game. This is on the back of its massive advertising campaign. They got John Cena involved.
The base isn't too good.
Across Waterloo Station.
I think I want to change it.
There's loads of marketing, like in things like bus stops around the UK. So this is, you know, the UK is small, right? So there's a massive advertising campaign. There were rolling adverts before the Barbie and Oppenheimer movies that have just come out. So they've done a lot. There's been loads of sponsored streamers. There's been massive mega content creators producing sponsored content on the game. And it's basically culminated in this figure of 73,000. Now, I will give them the benefit of the doubt and say this is probably, the majority of this number is new players. Like this here, it's probably new players, right? So this is 70-odd thousand players who are jumped in and are playing right now who probably haven't played Overwatch before. Now, if you go to the homepage of Steam, in fact, we're going to get onto this in a moment, but if you go to the homepage of Steam, again, you will see massive more advertising spend, Invasion, play Overwatch 2 now, let's go. So there's a massive amount of advertising going into this. So you can kind of be a bit cynical with this and go, well, okay, so all of this has only resulted in this. And when I look at these other games, I mean, I know Apex Legends has currently got a new content update. I think they've done something to Revenant. I think they've remade the character. Don't quote me on that, though. But there's an update out for Apex Legends. And that's a 400,000. Now, I know Battle.net is going to be a significant amount of players for Overwatch 2 on PC, whereas I'd imagine Apex Legends is mainly Steam. I'm not even sure if you can play it on Origin anymore, but I don't know. Yeah, so these figures, are they great? I think they're okay. I think this 70,000 is okay. Maybe I'm smoking a bit of copium, but I think this is okay for Overwatch. What I'm worried about is, where does this peak go? Like, how do they make this go higher? They've literally tried their hardest by dumping as much content as they've got available at the moment and dropping some of the much awaited PvE, and it's only really resulted in this. Now, again, this might go up. This graph is trending upwards, but as you can see from yesterday...
Hi, guys, I love you.
Yeah, it wasn't really that. It was only like 40,000 maximum on it there, 45,000 you could maybe say this morning. But yeah, and we're going into the weekend as well, so more people will load up on Steam, and I'd imagine this will get to 100,000. I would be a bit disappointed if it didn't, if I was Blizzard. So that's the Steam launch impact we've seen so far. And remember what I said, guys, there's a lot going on here. There is, like, Overwatch is available on loads of different platforms. It's very popular on console. I know Apex Legends is also popular on console as well, but for Overwatch, obviously, you've got PlayStation, you've got Xbox, you've got Switch, which is probably by far the lowest player base, and you've got PC. I don't know which player base is bigger, PC or console, I don't know, but they're probably comparable.
Look at the beautiful frames and no lag, nothing,
so, yeah,
no problem.
Too bad,
I had a
yes. Now let's move on to
40-second load or something.
This is the
I love it when Windows isn't corrupted or I don't
As I
have
scroll
like
down, you will see this is overwhelmingly negative. 35,000 reviews we've had. And in fact, I'll refresh this. It's probably going to go up. Yeah, 42,000. I don't know what this is. Get rid of that. 42,000 reviews and overwhelmingly negative. 11% of the 42,000 user reviews for this game are positive. Now, I think this was to be expected, and I don't think Blizzard went into this thinking, you know what, we're going to get great reception, because you're just not. And the problem with Steam reviews is it gives a very public place for players to basically outline their frustrations with the game. And that's what's happening here, like on a massive scale. People are turning up and they're saying this, 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 and this. And we're just going to go through some of it because, I mean, obviously the top one here, the people who make Overwatch poor and work harder than the people who make Overwatch. Yeah, it's funny, but it's not true. And I think this is, I mean, the people who make Overwatch, right, so the developers, they are not the people that decide when things are launched, what's getting made, how things are packaged together, the monetization of the game, and all of that stuff, right? They literally are given a task. It is their job to make this game. The task would be, right, we want a new hero, a support hero, go and make it. They make Ilari, and we're like, wow, okay, cool. They don't go, right, we're going to make a battle pass with a load of pointless rewards and we're going to stuff loads of stuff, you know, behind paywalls. We're going to put heroes in the battle pass, so you need to... The devs do not do that. And in fact, I'm pretty sure the devs would be completely against that, because the devs want the game to be good. You have to remember their names are attached to this thing. They are producing it, and they take a lot of heat. And it's one of the biggest like scams in the gaming industry, where the executives don't get the heat. It's the developers who get the heat. And the executives love it because they're sitting there, faceless monsters who do these things, make these decisions, and they don't even have to defend themselves, because it's the developers who are the public-facing sort of element or arm of the game, well, the game's development, and they take the heat. So, yeah, while this is funny, the people that make Overwatch, they work extremely hard, and they've had a very difficult time of it as well, so always be aware of that. So, yeah, again, it's just a stupid review there. So, this one, Overwatch 2 has no respect for you. It's an attempt to pry open your wallet while masquerading as the game it used to be. I picked up the game in 2016. I was instantly hooked, like so many others. Overwatch remained my favorite shooter for years, even during the drought of content on the run to Overwatch 2. While it retains its charming design, wonderful cast of characters, and some of the best multiplayer maps I've ever played on, Overwatch 2 brought a few enormous fundamental downgrades. Okay, so heroes in the battle pass. I mean, yeah, this is the other thing as well. I think that there is a very strong element of fatigue when it comes to discussing these topics, especially with people that do play Overwatch now, maybe even newer Overwatch players who've come on board with Overwatch 2, where it's like, yeah, every game does this, and just take it. Well, you can't just sit there and take it when you know they could do better, and that's the issue we've got. And so, yeah, I think heroes in the battle pass for me, when I look back on this game in a few years' time, it will be that was the moment where you sort of knew all hope would be lost in terms of monetization. Now, they can fix these things, and there are things they can do. You know, maybe they do change their tune when the Microsoft buyout comes into effect later on in the year, or something else major happens. But yeah, I mean, I agree with this. I'm not going to read through this, but I agree. Heroes in the Battle Pass is just terrible. It goes on to say the Battle Pass itself and the new approach to cosmetics. I've never really been opposed to the idea of Battle Pass systems, but compared to other games, Overwatch 2's passes are a joke. Each pass has 80 levels of stuff, usually 8 skins with very nice customizable one at the end, and a bunch of other stuff to pad it out, as is the norm. This filler stuff ranges from titles and nameplates to emotes. I believe they've recently added credits in there, which is a great step forward, but doesn't undo the aforementioned critical misstep of including core gameplay features behind the paywall. Cosmetics have always been a huge part of Overwatch. The skins are designed by insanely talented artists with equally talented modelers. These skins continue to be fantastic, which is true, but the prices are insulting. Legendary skins, ones that aren't recolors, are on average around 20 plus quid. Well, okay, yeah, $19, $20, whatever. But I do just want to touch on this point here of like, so the design is still, like, Overwatch's design is still awesome. Like, the visual, the graphic design, everything is awesome in that regard. I mean, look at Iliari at the moment. She looks great. The skins look great. It's well made. Look at the skins. They're well made. Like, I know they are shoved, like, there's Omnic style skins, but a bunch of them are just shoved behind. You've got to buy the ultimate PvE, God knows what bundle, and then you've got to buy this and you've got to buy that. And yeah, it is, I think insulting is a good way to put it. Because I'm sure the artists are like wanting people to appreciate what they've produced, but then all people see is the price of this stuff and go, what the hell is this? It's crazy. So yeah, fair play. The PvE, so this is obviously another issue. So I never had too much interest in the PvE, but it was the driving point behind that whole idea of Overwatch 2, which again, I agree with, it was. It absolutely was the driving point behind Overwatch 2. That's what we were told anyways. It ended up being a bait and switch to implement all of these new monetization systems. Hell, even after the cancellation of PvE, we're still getting PvE missions, except they're now being sold as individual packs. Just another way to squeeze your wallet. You know, fair enough. Got another review here. They released Overwatch 2 as a free-to-play business model, which leans more heavily into microtransactions, overpriced skins, and predatory behavior. To make matters worse, they shut down the first game, making it unplayable for people who purchased it, meaning the player base has to move over to this free-to-play business model to keep playing the game. But at least it will have the promised PvE hero mode that would feature character progression, which was the main part of the game's selling point. No, that was cancelled, but you can buy a lighter story mission for only $15. Don't support this predatory behavior. I mean, yeah, like, I think when you look at PvE, obviously this has been in development for a long, long time. There was a tweet from, let me just bring this up actually. There was a tweet from, Michael Chu about the Rio de Janeiro mission. Let me just find this, because this will give you like an idea for the date. Yeah, so if I bring this in and we take a look at this, look at this. This is Michael Chu, and he says, sharing today as the Overwatch campaign is finally releasing. Notes from the first story brainstorm that ended up becoming Overwatch 2, dated September the 3rd, 2015. Rio, team doesn't have a leader, lacking team... I don't know what that says. Cohesion, I think, maybe? See cohesion? Lucio asked for help. But this is like the outline of the Rio mission back in 2015. Anyway, we end up with these 3 missions, and like, I think it's almost like the developers, they want to get this out the door, and this is their way of doing it. And I don't know the way this is going to manifest going forward. We know we're not going to get any more PvE story missions this year. I'd imagine this is going to be something which happens once a year, and it's almost like the, I guess, the expansion launch of Overwatch every year, where they go after the, you know, the $40, $50, $60, whatever it might be. In fact, what are they even charging for this on Steam? Let me go through this. So, you can see, look, I've loaded it up for half an hour to check it out on Steam, but I've been playing it on Battle.net, which I don't think I'll play it on Steam, but I understand why people would play it on Steam anyway, especially if you don't want loads of, like, launches installed. So, yeah, like Overwatch 2 Invasion Ultimate Bundle, $34.99. You know, I'd imagine that next year we'll have the Overwatch 2 Strikes Back Ultimate Bundle for $34.99, and then the year after that we'll get one, and we'll get one. So this is like their attempt at launching the game every year to get a box sale. This is exactly what Call of Duty does, so it makes a lot of sense that we're seeing it this, and that's probably what we're going to see going forward. But this feels terrible, doesn't it? Because it's not what we wanted. It's not what Overwatch 2 was meant to be, and, you know, I've been over that to death, but I can understand the frustration. So I've been seeing a lot of comments out on Twitter where people are saying, these reviews on Steam, it's just review bombing. But I don't actually think it is. Like, I think that some of these are legitimate. You know, that's absolutely legitimate, that review. This is legitimate as well. They forgot to add content for 3 years, okay. They should make a sequel that includes the whole PvE experience we were promised, fair enough. This, you know, is a bit more, let's just list a bunch of problems and whatever, which is fine, you know. Overwatch 1 over Overwatch 2, Team Fortress 2 Link, okay, that's a bit of a troll meme there, okay. And yeah, there's 42,000 reviews. I'm not going to go over all of them, because, like, you can see this is negative. Now, I think what will happen is these reviews, maybe the majority of them will maybe get removed by Steam. So I think there's like a playtime requirement, and obviously a lot of these people would have like, you know, 0.1 hours on record. They've literally installed the game just to make a comment. This is Team Fortress. Hang on, what am I? Oh no, that's the link. It's a Team Fortress 2. I want Team Fortress 2. I've got Team Fortress 2 on the brain. But yeah, like as I'm going on some insane ramble here, like yeah, like the thing is, I get what these people are doing. I get the frustration. Is Overwatch an overwhelmingly negative game? No, it really isn't. There still isn't really any other game like Overwatch and gives you what it gives you. But I completely understand the frustration because I've been out there and God knows I've made enough content covering the frustration. I think my viewpoint is very much set in stone at this point, and I'm sure a lot of people know what I think about this game and the way it's gone. I love the game. I don't like the monetization wrapper. That's the problem. And clearly, a lot of people do not like the monetization wrapper of this game. You know, they are not happy with it, and that's completely valid opinion. Okay, let's move on from the Steam reviews, but it's going to be interesting to follow this in the future, and also follow this, which I'm sure this has probably even gone up now. I'd imagine it has. Well, no, it's gone down a little bit. But playing figures, all of that stuff, we'll keep our eye on that and just see what happens. But yeah, I thought we had to cover that because it is a big sort of milestone in the game. Okay. Talking about milestones, this is where we're going to get into some of the stuff from the journalists. Now, what we've got here is, this is IGN, and they leave with the headline, Overwatch 2 has now moved on from early access, Blizzard says. This is the moment. Now, in case you forgot, Overwatch was in early access. Overwatch 2 was an early access launch, and this is the launch. So, presumably, this is what they would like to have launched the game with back in October last year. So, the article goes on to say, with the release of Season 6, Overwatch 2 has now moved on from its early access period, Blizzard have said. Overwatch 2 Invasion launches today alongside a big update that adds a raft of new modes and story missions. A new hero and new maps, Overwatch 2 also launches on Steam today in a move that is sure to boost the game's player count. Speaking to reporters ahead of the launch, executive producer Jared Noose declared Invasion the point at which Overwatch 2 graduates from being an early access game to a full live service game. Invasion is the point at which we move on from early access. For me, it's less about content threshold and more about, are we operating the game we want to operate? Is this the structure, the cadence, the amount of things we are able to make in release that we think moves us away from this learning period and into this really operating a game at a full feature level? For me, Overwatch 2 Invasion is that moment. We have a bunch of these features we found to be gaps in the game. Like finding better ways to recognise player time and investment, learning things about competitive and making adjustments to that, with future adjustments planned. These are all things we got out of that initial period, and now we're able to move forward and settle into a rhythm. For me, this is the moment we move out of that early access phase into the full live game.
Sorry guys, I must pause for just 5 minutes here. Gotta go run some shelves into the house. It won't take very long. I'm not booked on some long mission here. Just gotta pause the stream for just a moment. We'll run the audio in the background, and I will say I'm just gonna leave the screen on for just a minute. BRB.
Overwatch 2. I mean, Overwatch. This is gonna sound really crazy, but Overwatch was never actually a live service game. Although it kind of was, but it wasn't. Yes, they've made limited time events, seasonal events as they were called back in the day. And these would come out, you know, for every seasonal event that Blizzard had planned. And these were cool when they first came out. Cause wow, this new little feature to the game, new game mode, new skins, new loot boxes, all this stuff, right? New items, whatever. It's an update to the game. Of course, obviously, it was all free, and that's all its own issue. But of course, you had to buy Overwatch as a box price back in the day. But they retooled the team and changed it to this content production pipeline. Mass production content pipeline, let's say. And it looks like what is being said here by the executive producer is we are now at the point where we think we can just start pumping out content. Now, the issue I've got with this is when we look at the content that's actually in this game. I mean, let me just bring this up. So we look at the Play Overwatch Twitter here, and on this, they've basically got the oh dear, they've retweeted a load of content creators. I'm trying to find a tweet. In fact, I don't know why I'm not showing this to you. I'll show it to you. So basically, I'm going through this, and you can see like they're just retweeting loads of stuff. But what I'm trying to find is the what you call it? It's totally gone out of my head. Not Ilari or Iliari. This thing. What's this thing called? The Why have I forgotten this? The roadmap. There we go. The roadmap for the season. All right. So this, right. So there's a lot here, right? There's a lot of stuff, but like the question is this stuff which is like, wow, you know, it's like, oh, this is sick, and it's absolutely blown my mind. I think an interesting sort of thought experiment here is, what could you remove from this and this season still has the same impact? And why have they put so much stuff into this? Is it a case of like, we're just going to put as much out as possible and then just try? There is actually an article which sort of goes into detail on that a little bit. We'll get onto in a second. But yeah, you look at this, you've got a new hero, major attraction. That's what the game's all about. It's based on heroes. People want heroes. People will come back to playing new heroes, especially if the new hero is really fun. She is really fun, and she's really good to play. Flashpoint, new game mode, okay, whatever. That's about time we've got new game mode. Bunch of new maps, that's fine, right? Then we get Overwatch Invasion story missions, okay. You know, everyone wants to play these, so that is a draw for this season. Tells you what they are. Limited time free events, so you've got the Underworld mode, the co-op mode, which is in the game until the 5th of September. Then it won't be. Then you've got things like Hero Masteries being added to the game, although it's not in the game at the moment. Although I have played this mode, but I don't think I can actually talk about it. But it is a little bit of a dark horse, I will say, that mode is. I don't think that'll get me in trouble. New player progression system, which is kind of a little bit insulting at the moment because it doesn't actually take into account any of your old progression. It's like new from this update. So everyone starts at like level 0 with all their heroes, and you have to start playing through them again. Now, I know why they've done this, because if they just suddenly let everyone who's played the game, you know, level up their player progression, loads of people would have like tons of levels on this, and it would sort of take away from it. So I can understand why they're starting from fresh. But again, this is that thing of going back to basically servicing new players and at the cost of older players. You know what I mean? Like, we don't care that you played the game years ago, because all we care about is what's happening right now, and, you know, whatever. Then they go in to try and sell you different kinds of bundles and whatever. So yeah, the moral of the story is there's a lot of stuff coming out, but what I would be worried about is it doesn't really matter if you're happy with the cadence or the amount of things you're making, if the amount of things you're making could be classified as mediocre, and what's the point of that? You know, it's almost doing it for the sake of it. Anyway, so this is where we're going to talk a bit about the monetization of PvE. Because, of course, this is a massively contentious issue with the game. So this is from CNET, and this is what they say in terms of that. They say, the second story mission set in Sojourn's hometown of Toronto felt noticeably more engaging from both a story and gameplay perspective, while the other two felt more like extended versions of the archive PvE events. All three had moments that felt genuinely cool, but if you're primarily here for the gameplay instead of these missions, instead of story, these missions might not be worth the $15 cost of entry. This then gets even worse when we start seeing articles like this popping up on Kotaku, where they just straight up say Overwatch 2 story missions are good, but they're not $15 good. The new PvE mode launching with Invasion has revamped enemy AI and bespoke battles, but its value is a big question mark. Now, there is, you know, when we talk about the AI, it is basic AI. The AI just runs towards you or runs towards an objective, and that's kind of it. There are enhancements to this that we're not seeing in Archive. So there's like this modular destruction system to the bots, so you can shoot their arms off and stuff. That's pretty cool. You know, you can shoot the legs off, and the bots will fall down on the floor, and then they'll start crawling towards you, or like the artillery units, you can blow their cannons off and things like that. So that's pretty cool, but it's still just a bot coming towards you, basically. So there isn't really much of a drastic change in that. Although the legendary difficult is extremely difficult, that mode is, because, I mean, again, you've basically got enemies that do tons of damage and have got loads of health. So that's the way they're handling the difficulty. But yeah, this Kotaku article just basically goes through, you know, I know it's Kotaku, so whatever, but it just breaks down the PvE. Like, they had a bit of an interview with the developers, and I don't really think this is worth really covering. I guess we can go over the end section here, but this idea of like, is it really worth it? And despite the surprisingly bespoke feel of Overwatch 2's PvE, I return to the question that has plagued the game since launch. Is $15 extra cost worth it? Blizzard's sequel is free to play, but its new heroes are locked behind the Battle Pass, and you either have to grind to get them through the free Battle Pass or fork over $10 for the premium one, which then grants you immediate access to the newest character. Legendary skins, which used to be found in loot boxes, you could either earn or pay for, are difficult to get now without forking over money. Many of the best skins, often shown in trailers for new seasons, are available for purchase in the in-game store, which is true. And Blizzard has confirmed that every new set of story missions will need to be purchased in order to access them. though there's currently no timeline for the next set of PvE will drop. Players will have to consider that going forward. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. So next up, I want to go over to here. This is GG Recon, and you know, go and check out their website. But this is what I want to focus on. They've got a couple of articles up here with a little bit more extended information from the developers, because I think a lot of this has been sort of hidden. Well, not hidden, but it's been hard to find with the noise of everything else going on at the moment. So yeah, Overwatch 2 devs considered more frequent hero releases ahead of Season 6 launch. I think this is quite an interesting statement to make, because we do know that heroes are the backbone of this game, and I'm pretty sure they'll have data which shows them when a hero comes out, they suddenly sell more of everything. So let's make more heroes. That's a natural reaction, right? So they say during a developer Q&A session, the game's lead designers talked about the importance of new heroes and the frequency of releases could be increased. And they say this: with the launch of Overwatch 2 and the introduction of the live service model, the development team has tried a wide range of content releases, from new maps and game modes to different arcade titles to battle pass skins and integrations. With 10 months of data since Overwatch 2's release, the team has gained insights into what its player base likes to engage with and wants to see more of. Okay. They're then going to say, according to Overwatch 2's executive producer Jared Noose, Overwatch 2 players aren't a group that share a collective want for new characters, but one with different tastes and profiles, all engaging with the game differently. And this is what he says: it really depends on the player you're talking about. Different things generate different buzz for different folks. If I said overall for the player base, I think heroes are at the heart and soul of Overwatch, the franchise. I mean, this is a bit of a crap comment, really, because I don't think anyone, like, if you said to anybody, would you take a new map over a new hero? I think everyone takes a new hero. Like, yeah, okay, there'll be outliers out there, somebody who's just a diehard fan of new maps in Overwatch 2, in which case they just want new maps. But, you know, you can see this in a lot of, you know, I always remember, like, whenever there was a new map, if you ever made any content on a new map, it would get drastically less views than contents on a new hero, yeah? This was across everybody on YouTube. It was literally across everything, right? So I think it's easy, and I think everyone as players know heroes are the main draw of this game. So this comment, whatever. The article then goes on to say, as the team has expressed a desire to be receptive to the audience's appetites, it stands to reason that an increase in hero releases could be one such way to give players more of what they enjoy. While there are no immediate results to report, there appears to be an ongoing internal discussion around the subject. So Jared Noose goes on to say, could we release heroes more frequently than we do now? Potentially. It's something we are discussing, but we don't have any concrete plans to announce. Art director Dion Rogers echoed the sentiment, stating, I would love to, but it's hard. It's not easy to make an Overwatch hero, and there is a lot goes into it. It's definitely something we'd love to increase at some point. So, I mean, apparently, according to Noose, goes on to say, the development team is currently in the planning process for the content release calendar for 2024. Until then, we'll have to wait and see what the Overwatch team has in store for the future. So potentially they increase the number of heroes to try and increase game revenue, I guess, and player engagement. I don't know. But, I mean, you guys probably remember by now, there was a comment from the general manager of Overwatch, and this was before Overwatch 2 launched, and his name's Walter Kong, and he essentially said, look, heroes are the highest engagement thing in our game. That's why we decided to monetize them in the Battle Pass. That kind of tells you everything you need to know. Anyway, let's move on. So this now is about map voting. So GG Recon went into a bit of a breakdown as to map voting and stuff like that during this Q&A. And they say this: during the developer Q&A, Aaron Keller listed multiple arguments as to why his team didn't believe map voting or vetoes to be the right choice for Overwatch 2 at this point in time. We think there is value to having a variety to the maps and the experience in Overwatch. You look to the other games, and especially the other shooters on the market right now, they might take place on just a few maps. I mean, I understand it. And then they also go on to say that there is a negative impact on matchmaking as well. So, according to game director Aaron Keller, creating a map voting or selection system for players leaves the team with two undesirable choices. Doing that would either up our matchmaking times, or we would have to be more flexible to how balanced some of the matches were. They then go on to talk about some of Overwatch's core values and say there is not just a skill expression in being able to master all the different maps in Overwatch, but there's also the expression of variety and this journey that we take you on across the world. That's always been a value for the game. When Overwatch 2 launched, we had a map catalogue that we put out with the game, and it took 3 to 4 maps out of rotation every season. our players universally spoke out to that, so it's not something that they wanted to have. I mean, yeah, true. I mean, and they did get rid of map pools, as he said, into the lifespan of Overwatch 2, because I remember that, you know, like you just said, we only used to have certain maps, and maps were taken out of rotation. That got removed, and that's good, right? So I think more maps is fine. Okay, so they also then go on to say, look, nothing's set in stone, and with all these things right now, we are not in a place, we're looking at adding a map voting system. It could change in the future as our game changes and our players' preferences change, whatever. So they're not working on that, which I think is fine. I'm not personally too bothered about a map voting system. So the next thing we get onto is Overwatch 2's Aaron Keller on lessons learned since controversial launch. And we're going to go through this article because we want to sort of, I want to know what they think is their biggest lessons they've learned so far. So the article written by the legend Yiska goes on to say, it's been 10 months since Overwatch 2 was released. With the introduction of its story missions in Season 6, the development team is filling in some of the gaps outlined in the initial version of the game. Other parts, namely hero missions, had to be abandoned. Judging by the comments section on most Overwatch 2 content, the community has yet to forgive. Fighting an uphill battle to regain trust, the development team has turned to more transparent communication and player feedback focused on development. During a Q&A session, game director Aaron Keller and executive producer Jared Noose talked about the key lessons from the first 10 months of Overwatch 2. Since the launch of Overwatch 2, we've made a very concerted effort to be more communicative and more transparent with our players. We have a bi-weekly blog that goes out. We are looking to do even more stuff on this, shared Keller. Indeed, there have been times in the past, both under new and old leadership, where the team turned dark for months, leaving the player base to speculate on the progress of the game. We changed our values in the way we talk to the community. Over time, I think before Overwatch 2 launched, we were a little more hands-off with the community. We weren't as transparent as we are now. And to be honest, some of that was out of fear. We didn't want to give bad news to the community or say something that they might interpret as negative to the game, Keller explained. When we launched Overwatch 2, we realized that it's not really transparent communication. That's just more marketing. We'd rather be just up front where we are, and I think we have been very transparent this year. So, I mean, the game's always had an issue with communication, and it's still having an issue with communication. I mean, even if you look recently, like the way the PvE was handled, the downscaling of the PvE was just not great. There was so many different ways they could have packaged that. Instead, they decided to just do it on a little live stream that they pre-recorded, in which they go, yeah, sorry guys, we're getting rid of this, but don't worry, it'll be fine. And obviously that's going to enrage the community. And I'm very confused the way whoever is advising Blizzard to do this, how they come to that decision that would be positive for the game. It would never be positive because this is bad news. But there are ways of packaging this to make it less of a blow, and I don't think they did. But I mean, look, there's loads of issues with communication, but I do like this acknowledgement of like, look, we realised that, you know, this wasn't transparent communication, it's just more marketing, which, yeah, you know, basically was seen as marketing. Whenever they did release you know, some sort of dev comms or whatever from back in Overwatch 1, I can understand that, but I think it still is seen as marketing, especially the bi-weekly blogs from Aaron, and also they're also not always from Aaron, they could be from other developers, but yeah, more communication is okay, but it has to be good communication, right? There is a point where you can overcome and it's stuff people don't care about. You know, you could even go off and say, well, maybe Overwatch is in this sort of world where it's just doing a lot of stuff and it's kind of stuff people don't overly care about. It's like, stop doing lots of stuff, just start doing quality stuff. I don't know. Jared Noose joined only over a year ago from Riot Games and is a relatively new member of the development team. Noose chimed in on this perspective, acknowledging the power of simply listening to the community. He shared his experience with online interactions. There is that magical thing that happens when people don't think you are listening. They try to hit you up with something aggressive, snarky, a little bit rude, or probing you just to respond like a person, because you are a person.
Okay, I am so terribly sorry. Something happened in real life, and I must go do something. Nothing bad, but as usual, my family really underestimated how much work they need from me as a slave. So I've got to go be a slave now. I'm terribly sorry. Go take care of my family for. Well, they do a lot for me in return, but I don't ever ask anybody for
Pass
anything, and I
alone is not
haven't
enough.
asked my
Massive
family
pass
for
there.
anything
What's
in
going on there? Anyway,
20
what
years,
focus
since
do
they're
our
really, I
fostering
really
go
resent how I have to
communication?
show up
Was
every
it
day for an
primary
hour to
focus?
5 hours
The
or
Overwatch
whatever.
2 team
It just
also
served them
have
as a
basic
slave. I
challenges
really,
adequately
really
rewarding
never
players
liked that, and I
for
fought
their
that my
time and
entire
effort.
life, but my
According to
family
Keller,
is into
one
slavery. They
lesson
really
from
like
the
turning
first
all
10
the
months
people
was that
around
the
them
Battle Pass
into
isn't even a
servants to
concept
serve
by
their
itself.
fucking bullshit,
The Battle Pass
not even
alone
rich
is not enough
people's
for
fucking
players to
needs.
feel that
They
their
need to turn
time,
people into slaves around them.
investment
So
that they
here we
put into
go.
the
I gotta
game
go be a slave for
Players
at least
want
an
to
hour,
feel
guys.
recognised by the game
Terribly
that they
sorry. I gotta go be a
Keller added
slave.
that the players'
Sorry.
feedback clearly indicated that the game
No
wasn't
pay,
actively
no,
celebrating
no,
their
I mean,
play
the
time.
appreciation and love is there,
Yes.
but I haven't asked them for anything in 20
One
years,
such
and I really would
instance
like
is
it
where
if
the
they just
development
kept it the
team
same, but
listened to
instead they
player
need you.
feedback, was the
Your
lack of
family is
recognition
there.
the game
It's
had
usually a
achieved for
slavery
players.
situation.
Tackle
Usually
this
you're a
issue, the
slave to your
development team,
family because they gave you
the
life, and it
team
sucks. I
developed
wish
hero
I
progression
honestly I tried to
design
leave that when I was
to keep
16,
comprehensive
and they kept
record
worming their way
of player
back in.
activities.